What's the word, my well-read ballers? Welcome back to Thug Notes Get Lit, where we give you the DL on the one thing that will get you paid and get you laid. Classic literature. I'm Sparky Sweets P.H.D. from Thug Notes, the most popular show about books in the business. And I'm here to break down some of the greatest ever written. Let's do this! This week we're counting down 4 of the craziest authors that ever lived. If you thought their writing was insane in the membrane, you won't believe how bad these people got when the paparazzi weren't looking. We're talking Crazy Train, everybody. So hop aboard. Choo choo! We're all mad here. Number 4, Ayn Rand, author of Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. Ayn Rand was a lady with a strong opinion about money, which she laid pretty thick in her most famous novel, Atlas Shrugged, a story about how great life would be if everyone looked and sounded more like Mitt Romney. Rand called her theory objectivism and described it as the concept of man as a heroic being with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life. It's all about doing what you want and not giving two shits what the haters be saying. Yeah, you go, girl. That's something I could totally get behind if it weren't for Rand being such a hateful, selfish. When Rand's teenage niece wrote her a letter asking for $25 to buy a dress, Rand responded explaining when she expected her $25 back. If her niece missed just one payment, Rand warned, "I won't send a policeman after you, but I will write you off as a rotten person, and I will never speak or write to you again." Yikes! I know loan sharks that could have given Rand lessons in niceness. Rand also spent a lot of time hating for someone with such an inclusive philosophy. Among her targets, Native Americans, whom she tagged as savages deserving the most unsympathetic Hollywood portrayal of Indians. I hate to break it to you, old Beezy, but there's nothing objective about being racist. Rand also had a big problem with the LGBT crowd, particularly lesbians, whom she described as a part of a hideous sisterhood of feminists and prostitutes. Damn. Even Rand's former lover, Nathaniel Brandon, was burned by her nasty attitude. After she died, Brandon called Rand out for being absolutely and totally ignorant about homosexuality. He added that her views were calamitous, wrong, reckless, irresponsible, cruel, and a load of other words you wouldn't expect from a brother so deep into Rand that he used to f her. Number 3, Honoré de Balzac, author of The Human Comedy. If there's one thing I respect, it's someone dedicated to their craft. And few people honor this more than Honoré de Balzac. The French writer was such a baller that he put the balls in Balzac. Balzac didn't just have a name that sounds good in the streets. He also wrote The Human Comedy, a gangster wad of fine lit, spanning 100 books and novellas set in his hood, Napoleonic France. That's more books than most people read in a lifetime, never mind write out by hand. How does one man leave such a tramp stamp on history? I'll tell you. The Human Comedy follows 3,000 characters across 91 finished volumes and 46 unfinished books. How did Balzac crank out so much work in one lifetime? Word is, he wrote for 15 to 18 hours a day in a monk's robe with a steady intake of 50 cups of coffee a day. What? How was that even possible? 50 cups in one day, every day? That cat must have been pissing espresso and crapping whole cans of Red Bull. Apparently, pounding coffee turned Balzac into the literary equivalent of the Hulk, back when the pencil was still a recent invention. Dude said that coffee is a great power in my life. I have observed its effects on an epic scale. Coffee roasts your insides. That sounds like some gourmet my friend. Have another. Number 2, Alan Moore, author of Watchmen and V for Vendetta. If you subscribe to Thug Notes, which you should, then you know I'm a huge fan of Alan Moore, the big daddy behind some of the greatest graphic novels ever. Batman, The Killing Joke, V for Vendetta, and my personal favorite, Watchmen, a graphic novel praised by Time magazine as one of the 100 greatest novels ever. No fooling. Alan Moore's stories have always covered dark, and I mean to the point that it gets downright creepy. His graphic novel, Lost Girls, featured Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, and Wendy from Peter Pan, all having sex with each other. What? That ain't right. I don't even think it's street legal. Moore also had a knack for showing fine, sexy ladies getting freaky with partners that were neither fine nor sexy. We're talking decrepit old men, old women, glowing demigods with blue dongs, and even Swamp Thing. Wait a minute, Swamp Thing has a dick? That's so nasty, but also so hot. It's almost like there's something wrong with Moore. Much worse than that giant vagina monster in Watchmen. The old crank routinely pisses on the comic industry that made him famous, and frequently fights to have his name scrubbed from films based on his works. It's like he's disowning everything he owns. Well, except for the sock puppet he worships. That's right, Alan Moore worships an ancient sock puppet snake god named Glycon. I don't know about you folks, but when you got a beard like a hobo and call a sock puppet your god, you should probably call a doctor before Batman drops your ass in Arkham Asylum. Number 1, Truman Capote, author of Breakfast at Tiffany's and In Cold Blood. It's hard to read In Cold Blood without feeling something crawling under your skin. Author Truman Capote called it a non-fiction novel based on the real case of a Kansas family who were murdered by killers holding shotguns inches away from their faces. Oh, that is grim. Of course Capote had a soft side. This wee man was a lifelong friend of Harper Lee and lived it up as a celebrity in the 70s, known for his soft voice and crazy threads. The guy dressed like an old lady going to church. Weird, but kinda hot. Capote was a strange man, even by his own standards. He described himself as superstitious to the point of mania, and I believe him. He refused to work on the 13th day of the month, would skip every 13th step when he walked, and wouldn't call someone on their phone if their digits added up to something unlucky. Damn, dude, that's a lot of calculating, man. If you can believe it, hating numbers was Truman Capote at his most normal. He also talked about round yellow roses and said that finding a hat on the bed would send him into a frenzy and wouldn't fly on an airplane with 2 or more nuns on it. Why 2? In his own words, there's just something gloomy about it. What's the matter, Capote? You don't like to get high? As if God would ever blow up a jet full of nuns. Hey, that's all I got to share today, homies. If you're looking to get your game on with learned ladies and gents, look no further than classic literature, players. And make sure to check back for more Thug Notes Get Lit. Keep your reading game going, my well-read ballers. Peace. This is a Wisecrack production.